Welcome to Storytime 76, which is going to be a little bit different today. This is our Solstice story for 2024. So we've got lots of beautiful candles. Some people have had a go at some of the traditions, folding lotuses and things. My candle is here, but I have to have it out of the picture because I don't have quite enough space. So today we're trialing something a little bit different where I'm going to do a series of shorter scenes. Our listeners have requested certain characters and certain situations for them to be in at Solstice. And so the idea is that this should be a little bit easier for me to write in the next few months, which are going to be a bit intense. So the requested characters in the end coming out of our vote were Albie, Betty, Crackers the Galah, and then I chose out of a number of tied ones that had a couple of votes each to do Dina, who is Albie and Alice's child, and that's who I'm representing first, hence the pigtails. On our scenarios that people came up with, obviously it's going to be taking place as part of the Solstice event that these characters do every year as kind of their coming back together. It's also going to be an everything at once party because it's including a collection of people who have agreed that if they're ever in the same place again, they're going to do this everything at once, which means kind of doing all the festive things at the same time. And came out of complaints about the fact that often shops have Christmas and Halloween stuff at the same time. So they just decided they would have everything and have a big party that was everything. So do we want to do a little show and tell of solstice-y bits or own traditions or superstitions or things that we've got? We've obviously got an Albie in the house already. That's fantastic.
Albie's here.
Albie's here.
Perfect for a winter solstice dress up.
Yeah, it's not a summer solstice dress up.
No, definitely
not
not.
a summer solstice dress up. Lucky you're in the southern hemisphere.
We did a cake and we've put coins in it. And I tried to do a bit hemisphere-y, so we've got pistachios on one half and almonds on the other.
Oh, that's nice. So you've got a dark and a light,
dark and a light,
southern hemisphere kind of.
And I found like not quite. It didn't actually. They weren't actually called lotuses for dummies, but I mean Margaret will understand this. I've actually successfully made a lotus.
They look beautiful.
I really like them. I think they're quite like lotuses, so I made a few.
I've got very little tiny lotuses this year.
We did a log and we did our wishes, and Barry put a little video up of that.
Beautiful. All right, so we can add the video in later. And yeah, same with my floating lotuses and candles. I'll take a little video to add so that I can show that later. At the moment, it's a little bit impossible to show off. But
I have a candle which has various pieces in that I'm wondering whether they will accidentally light on fire. It was made by children. They decided to include little dried flowers and sprinkles of foil to make it look pretty, which it does. We'll see how it survives. And in onesie solidarity, this was the easiest thing I had available. But it may not stay on because even with the aircon on, I am in summer solstice.
Yeah.
So we'll.
I'm wondering whether we could have a close-up view of that candle in the middle at the Fletchers. Is that doable?
Yes.
Because that's very, very beautiful with the trees.
Oh, yeah. That is lovely.
It's a piece of metal cut.
Yeah. That's nice.
And it just looks as though there could be a little campfire in the middle of the forest.
It makes me think of there might be a bonfire behind those trees somewhere.
That's right. Yeah. And everybody's celebrating.
None of us have a real bonfire. It's quite a nice representation. Oh, this is a onesie that you haven't got on. Yes. It looks like a summery sort of one.
Yeah. We've only just put our heater on here, so
not quite warm enough. Got to have your winter solstice warm things. So our scenarios that were requested or suggested, besides the sort of solstice event and the everything at once stuff happening, were to hear Dina's version of solstice planning or traditions, and how a child might interpret them. Crackers interacting with the lotus folding and floating lotuses in a water bath. A cuddle party. A beach gathering. Betty discovering a secret about herself that she had forgotten. I really want to know who put this in. Is the person who put this in here? No. I think it must be Beth. That's just a great one. She forgot her own secret. And a blackout in a storm at a high-tech house. So each of the characters has been allocated a few of these scenarios to be part of their scene. So I haven't just fully stuck to one of those. I've kind of got the idea that all those things are happening as part of the solstice, and we see little bits of a few of those from a few points of view. They'll also each be trying to write a little solstice poem at the end of their scene. And I will be attempting to make some very quick minor costume changes between characters. The idea here is that I'm going to get into character as these people, make this a little bit more entertaining and different from what we usually do. So scene 1 is Dina. Dad, I told you. My tradition is putting paper boats in the ocean, so we have to go to the beach. Dad isn't really listening to me. He's going through all his drawers, and I know why. He's looking for the onesies. But Mum hid the onesies because she's hoping he'll wear something more normal, which is very silly because Dad's not normal. He's a philosophy lecturer for starters. It will be very cold at the beach today, Dina, he says. Okay, so maybe he listened a tiny bit. But why would it be cold when one of the traditions is a bonfire? The grown-ups already fold origami for the solstice and write wishes inside. But I don't know why they do flowers and float them in bowls where they'll eventually just sink. My wishes will go out with the tide, and even when they sink, they'll be out in the huge wide ocean where anything could be there to read them, like a dolphin or a mermaid or people in the lost city of Atlantis. So my wishes are much more likely to be granted than the grown-ups, I think. Dad gives in, and we all go to the beach before we go to Auntie Alina's house. It's windy, and I don't like the stingy sand. I put my boats in at the water's edge. Crash! Straight under a wave. Oh well. They'll get to all the magical ocean wish-granting readers all the faster. Auntie Jen understands. She used to be the tide, Dad says. Maybe next year I'll just give my boats to her. Wumph. That's Noodles. Auntie Jen and Auntie Cassie's dog. He's a Great Dane. He's very gentle, but very clumsy. And now I've got a wet butt from the wet sand in the shallows. Noodles. Now he's got one of my boats. No, Noodles. Don't run off away from the water with it. I hope that was the wish about learning to speak to animals. I guess Noodles might be able to help with that. I don't see the boat in his mouth anymore. I think he ate it. Maybe if I lift up his floppy lips and have a look. No, no boat. Hopefully in a dog's tummy is also a good place to put a wish. The rest of my boats have washed out to sea, so we all go to Alina's. I don't know why we're doing the solstice at Alina's. Auntie Alina has what Dad calls a robot house. He means she has lots of things that use electricity and Wi-Fi, and you can talk to the house and ask it to do stuff like, hey, doctor, play my dancing songs. Auntie Alina calls the electric things the doctor. I'm not sure why. I don't think they could give me an injection or make me have tablets. At least I hope not. It's a bit silly to have the Solstice at the robot house because there's nowhere for a fire and we just have to use candles, and you can't really toast marshmallows very well on candles, and I was looking forward to marshmallows. Dad said we can have some at home, but then it wouldn't be part of the Solstice party, so I said I didn't want them at home. I probably shouldn't have said that. I like marshmallows. Dad's got the candles going really early, so they're probably just going to be wax puddles later. He found a different onesie with bunnies on it, so he's wearing that for Snuggles later. But I don't see how Snuggles are fun without a fire or a movie. I think I'll go bounce on the sofa and try to make them do a pillow fight so it isn't boring. Right now, though, I'm trying to think of more wishes for the flowers and the Yule log. You'd think it would be easy to think of loads of wishes, but it's not. Dad made some prompts, but I don't know what I want to remember or find. Maybe I can do a wish for someone else, and it can be for Crackers. Crackers is a galah, and he belongs to Auntie Cassie. I'm wishing for him to learn to say shoot instead of shit, so people stop. Folding the paper up into a lotus flower is really hard. Auntie Cassie is helping me, but I don't think Crackers understands that these aren't real flowers or what the bowl of water is for. He's in the water, and now all the candles are out from him going sploosh. Maybe he likes saying shit, even though he gets told off. Maybe saying, oh, shit is fun. I'll try it later. Actually, I'll try it now because there's thunder outside and all the lights just went out and the robot vacuum cleaner won't stop going because the Wi-Fi is not working. I can't see anything except the one candle Crackers didn't splash water on. It's a bit spooky, but it's much more like I expect the solstice to be. I should do my poem. Dad says we all have to do a poem or bring one, but if I brought one, I wouldn't be able to read it now because it's dark. So lucky I decided to just do a haiku. Crackers is a pain. He splooshed all of our candles. Is that the right number of syllables? Alina says yes. Crackers is a pain. He splooshed all of our candles. Dark solstice squawking.
Yay! Love it.
So scene 2 is Crackers. So there's no costume change for this bit, but I'm going to take the pigtails out because I don't like them.
Like Crackers? Has he got pink? Oh, he has got pink. Yes, he has.
Yeah, he's got pink. He's just a bit blanched out by my camera.
Yeah.
So scene 2, Crackers. Hello, Crackers. The humans still don't know that I call them Crackers. Humans are Crackers. Right now, they're trying to make flowers out of paper. Don't they know the paper flowers won't grow any seeds? They do have one fun thing, though. A bird bath on the table. It's a bit cold for a bath, but I'm hopping in just so I don't miss out. I share the water nicely so the humans can have a bath in the spray. All the little burning lights go out, and then all the big ceiling suns. I can hear a storm growling outside the window, and a strange round turtle thing is growling on the floor. I can't see much, so I guess it's time to sleep. I find a handy metal branch above the window and put my head under my wing. When I wake up, it's too bright for a winter morning, and there's shiny stuff that looks a bit like a pine tree branch near my feet. It doesn't taste like pine branch, and there are no pine nuts. Even when I pull all of it apart. The humans have got into a pile on the sofa and floor like a flock, so I join the flock. But there are no handy perches, so I make a nest in the hair of the hairiest human, the one called Jen. She makes a sound like, "Walk!" which sounds a bit like my old friends. So I go, "Walk!" too, and try going upside down, holding onto a useful bit of her hair that's all woven around. She pulls me out of the fun hair jungle gym and puts me down on the floor. Lots of the humans are sitting down there, wearing soft nest-like skin coverings, so I hop about between them to see how they feel underfoot. They all make a lot of noises that sound like wild galah noises. I wonder if they forgot how to make human noises. I demonstrate. "Hello, crackers!" I hop around over a few more humans. Oh, shit! The humans don't seem to want to stay in their flock when I'm in it, which is a bit mean, I think. I hop on the back of the growling tortoise, which is going round the floor again, and ride about while I try to think of a poem. The humans don't know that I know about poems, but I like them. There are short ones with set rhythms like, "Oh shit, it's Crackers. He's the best bird in the house. Nicer than the dog." And then there are the fun ones that rhyme. I fly around the room with my wings as a beat to think my rhyming words to. I only know how to say some of them, so mostly my poem's in my head. I wonder what the humans would think if they could hear it all. Today is the longest day, the most time spent under the sun. You celebrate in various ways, though most of them seem strange to some. I'm just a bird of many years and hope the sun will dry the seed for me to find amongst the fields and turn into a feast to feed my many friends of feathered kind who join me to be party crackers. We'll graze and play while bright sun shines, then decorate trees when we're all knackered.
Yay, crackers.
I like crackers.
I'm not actually going to put this on because, like Pete,
It's
I am in my
warm.
summer solstice and it's a bit too warm for the onesie. But we'll just sort of pretend. There's a onesie in the ground.
And
All the onesies. All the Albies. All the Albies together. Fantastic.
Oh, hang on, I'll go and get my equivalent. Won't be a minute.
Scene 3, Albie. It's been interesting really introducing Dina to the solstice. Of course, she's been coming along for a few years now, but it's only this year she's really old enough to understand the concept of traditions and superstitions and the purpose of having an event to bring far-flung people back together. Well, when I say she understands, she knows some of the things we do, but she does kind of have her own take on them. I've been told this morning, in no uncertain terms, that the way we write wishes inside origami lotuses and float them in a bowl is really very silly because those wishes aren't going anywhere. Dad, she said, wouldn't it be better to throw them in the ocean or a fire or something so the wishes are going out into the world? Which I have to say shows some deep thinking. We'll have another philosopher in this family yet. In light of her criticisms of the lotuses, Dina has decided her tradition will involve putting paper boats carrying wishes into the sea. It will be pretty cold down at the beach this morning, but Dina's definitely inherited my enthusiasm and Alice's determination. She's not going to let anyone change her mind. I did try to gently point out that we'd prefer all the traditions to be able to be done at the same location, but then she just used the example to complain about this year being at Alina's, which prevents a bonfire. Alina lives in a rather high-tech flat and doesn't have a fireplace, and Dina was especially keen on the fire part of the Solstice plans. I suspect her enthusiasm was perhaps more due to the promise of marshmallows than tradition, but she wasn't having any of my offers to do a fire at home later. Dina's also heard that Yule is something similar to Christmas, and her ideas about how the Yule log should be decorated have been influenced accordingly. When I came out for breakfast this morning, it was wrapped in a tight tinsel spiral with little sleighs and a plastic Santa stuck to the top, with sticky tape. Being quite inventive, Dina had used the pre-drilled holes to insert sparklers, which had blue tack on the end to hold them into the holes, and they stuck out all over like an echidna spine. She said we could light them instead of a bonfire, which I had to admit would look pretty spectacular. If we were going to be outside at Jen's, I think I'd give it a go. But Alina's flat probably isn't ideal for a sparkler porcupine either. It will just set off the smoke alarms. I guess I really do understand why Dina thinks it's a poor choice of venue. But we have to share the hosting around, to be fair. It's not ideal for Alina that Fraser and James and therefore Betty and her old lady friends are around this year. And that means it's also an everything at once party, which means we decorate for Christmas, Halloween, and Easter, and anything else anyone wants. And we do as many traditions as we can. And that's on top of our normal Solstice stuff. I love the everything at once party. It only happens if and when this exact group of people are in the same place, which is rare because Fraser and James live in Scotland, but not as rare as you'd think because they're really rich. Anyway, Dina and I are very excited for this, but Alina's a bit worried, I suppose. But here we are at the beach first to do Dina's boat tradition. I told Betty and her friends that they didn't need to come to the beach, but Betty's rather exceptional and doesn't like missing out on things. Unfortunately, the little wheels on Betty's walking frame aren't very good for sand. Fraser and I are taking in turns digging her out when she gets stuck. Or rather, James and I are taking in turns and James is letting Fraser pretend he's doing it. It's kind of annoying and cute at the same time. It's also pretty windy, which means Dina's boats all had a quick demise in the waves, but she doesn't seem bothered. Crackers the galah, on the other hand, is probably wishing he'd stayed home. He's tried flying off a few times and got rather buffeted. So now he's just perched on Cassie's head, holding on for dear life. It doesn't look very comfortable for Cassie, but I think it's admirable that he's sticking it out in spite of difficult conditions. He's an optimistic bird, Crackers. But I think I'd better suggest we head to Alina's. So we're here, and I'm going through the lotus folding with those who haven't done it before. Dina's doing a pretty good job of following along, but Crackers keeps grabbing and shredding the finished flowers, as though he's hoping to find seeds in them. I'm not sure what that means for those wishes, but it's no good being worried. So I tell everyone it's good luck if Crackers destroys your lotus, since it seems like he's working his way through most of them. And it wouldn't be nice to let him spoil the mood or spoil his fun. Now I can hear thunder, but I don't mention it. There's a lot of automated stuff in Alina's flat, which won't work if the power goes out. I'm not worried. I'm optimistic. It's the solstice and the everything at once party, and nothing can spoil my time with my special extended family. I'd better boil the kettle now just in case, so we can still have chai. Blink blonk. Something in the house has a power off tone. And now I hear Alina's robot vacuum cleaner, which is impossible to catch to switch off manually and normally voice controlled through the smart home hub. Well, lucky I thought to boil the kettle and we have plenty of candles. Smack. That'd be Alina trying to catch the vacuum in the dark. A few candles flicker back to life as people locate them. Now, see, that's not a disaster. That's atmosphere. It feels much more like a solstice than Alina's ceiling lights, which won't turn on if she takes her phone outside. I think this is the ideal moment to share my solstice wish poem. Everyone will just need to keep their wishes in their heads if they can't see enough to write them down. You can all manage that, can't you? Oh, well, after Dina's haiku, that is. Okay, ready? As we reach our shortest day, and our kin across the world bask in longest sun, know now that the dark cannot grow any greater. Prepare for the slow coming of the light with plans and hopes, flame and beverage, company and warmth. Ask tonight, what is something to be remembered? Through all the years' tangles and turnings, what do you hope for? Another, human, furred, feathered or green. What do you seek and hope to find in this year's wanderings? And what do you hope to give another or receive? As the sun descends as early as it will this year and leaves us in the darkness, don't despair. Reflect, refresh, refuel, and create new hopes to carry as the New Year's light appears.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Very good.
Help them shed our heat.
You know, can't stop being too warm.
If I'm one here, I don't know how pea's going. It's getting Betty, is it? Yeah. Oh, perfect.
I haven't got any of that. Have you got some of that?
Got to have your lipstick if you're Betty.
Oh, it's only going
Seed
Oh,
4,
yeah.
Betty.
Oh,
Had a very good time at the beach, dears. Even though I wore my totally kick-ass vampire boots. That's what a name my granddaughter calls them. I don't think I'd be flexible enough to swing my leg up and kick somebody's rear end nowadays. Although I did have a go at that Irish dancing, but that was a few years ago now. I'm hoping for a nice cup of tea and a sit down at Alina's flat, though who knows if her chairs will run away or some such. She has a lot of robot things, that Alina. No, young man, I'm afraid I do not want to go to the water's edge. Can you imagine what salt water will do to these wheels? Not to mention the suede on these vampire boots. I should like to get to the flat, so one of you younger folks can clean the sand out. Which one is Cassie again? Oh no, I'll wait for Alina. Cassie has the bird and the clumsy dog. I don't want that galah on my head in the car. Fraser, my dear, if Crackers has not yet got on your head, then you simply haven't known him long enough. Do you know what's rather good? I can use my phone to unlock Alina's door. She gave me a key in the key app. Now let's see, where is the app? Oh, drat. My phone's all rearranged itself. Or they updated the app symbol. I don't understand that. Do they want people to recognize it or not? Ah, here we go. Ta-da! Door unlocked. I think that's a bit snazzy. Oh, hello, Alina. Goodness, that teapot on the table. I recognise that. Whose is it? Albie's, you say? Well, that can't be right. He's only a child. Oh, his great-grandmother's. Oh, I see. They must never know the secret I just remembered. Ha! Forgot my own secret. How about that? I'd probably best forget again before I accidentally tell anyone. I suppose I can share with you, dears. Once upon a time, I was going to become a nun. You see, yes, really. I went on this sort of missionary trip overseas. We did something we called an afternoon tea swap. Basically, it was a fancy afternoon tea where we shared the tea traditions of the local community and showed them ours and ate too much. Anyhow, at the end of this shindig, we had to take an awful lot of things back into the house. And I never was one for making multiple trips. So I loaded up both arms with boxes and my handbag over my shoulder. Now, as you ought to know by now, my handbag is sort of magically voluminous. Alina always says bigger on the inside, but I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Probably some young person slang everybody uses nowadays. Anyway, I unloaded everything, or so I thought, and we all cleaned up, and a few weeks later I was back home. I was in the church and I wanted to light a candle for somebody. So I was digging in my bag for some change for the donation box when, lo and behold, I feel a strange, round, heavy shape. My dears, I had accidentally stolen the local contingent's teapot. Did I confess? Absolutely not. I went straight out and donated it to a charity shop, but I gave up on becoming a nun. I clearly wasn't cut out for it. How wonderful that the teapot found its way back to a descendant after all these years. Don't tell anybody. I'll most likely forget again by the time this party's over. Funny how something that was so dreadful and embarrassing at the time seems like a fun story now. I'll tell you another secret, though. I'm glad I didn't become a nun. I don't think they would have let me go to live action role playing and play a vampire, or have a go at roller derby, or try this cuddle party thing some of the group today are doing. Sounds sort of like a pajama party, except with lots of hugs and asking before you do everything. Oh dear, the lights have gone out. Well, that's quite unfortunate, since I just went into the room where a lot of people are on the floor getting comfortable to cuddle. I'll just find my way to a wall. Sorry, was that someone's foot? Did I run you over? Oh dear. I don't see so well by candlelight, I'm afraid. You know, Alina, for a robot house, yours isn't very smart. Shouldn't battery-powered lights come on if the power goes out? No, crackers. Help, please, the bird's on my head. No, he didn't ask if he could play with my hair. That's against the rules, isn't it? Crackers, you have to leave. Oh, the lights are back. Dear me, no wonder I ran you over. I'm not at the edge at all, am I? Goodness, excuse me. I think I'll go and write my poem instead. Anyone need tea? I spotted a stolen teapot earlier that should make a lovely cup. Now, what does one write for the solstice that's everything at once? Is it Christmas? I didn't think that much of the year had passed. Then again, I sometimes do miss a bit of time. It goes so fast. Spring should be Easter, but we're in Australia, so everything's gone back to front. There's no judging by seasons what festivities we're feeling, though we hold on to ones that I doubt were really intended for fiery Decembers or frosty Junes and Julys. Roast dinner in summer's a bit of a strange one when it's 37 inside. Here at the solstice, we sit on the light's edge before days grow longer again. Now is a good time for pudding and mulled wine and spices and tea and slow gin. We've reclaimed this winter and banished cold fingers on teacups and pots we pass down. We start the sun's journey with lessons we're learning, things lost and once again found.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Yay.
This grass crown is going with the hood. So, do we feel that was a satisfactory temporary new structure?
Oh yeah, I think that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
different perspectives were good. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Good. That fun. So we will try and do something similar for July. Any sort of extra suggestions or
Look, I wrote some things down today because the first one is random public holidays. Perhaps that relates a bit too closely to everything all at once, but we in Australia, I don't even think it's Australia-wide, the King's birthday on Monday.
Yes.
I think Perth might not have, but I think most other states have got it, I think.
It's funny, we don't get a holiday.
But England...
They just put it on the weekend.
The King's birthday, and yet we do it in Australia. Yep. And it's just, obviously it's the second, what is it? Yeah, it must be the second weekend in in June.
June.
And Cosetta thus, irrespective of whether it's king or queen or where their birthday is.
When their birthday really is, yeah.
The other one was the idea of, when you get invitations, it says either casual or formal attire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And how different characters would interpret like casual.
What the character's version of what means casual or attire? What constitutes that? What do they actually end up wearing to this event?
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. And the other one,
the one I like is cocktail attire, whatever that means.
No one knows what that really means.
No,
like semi-formal.
Means you throw a drink over someone else so that they are wearing a cocktail, right?
Must be.
I like that. I like it.
The P dictionary.
It's not so much a content prompt, but something I think worked really well with the multiple scenes just there was having one non-human point of view. Because obviously that gives a very different interpretation. So in terms of like seeing the same things from multiple points of view, I was kind of waiting for almost the payoff to the joke of, we know he's landed on someone's head and they've said something, because it's from his point of view, we have no idea what. And I was kind of just waiting for that to come back round and get the satisfaction of that resolution. So I think kind of pairing up characters in that way, so
when there's an interaction,
so that the viewpoints do look different and you do get a kind of payoff of knowing you're going to get more information later.
I'm getting like the mirror image of things from one perspective.
That's
actually seeing the other side of that.
That's a good idea.
Kind of pairings.
Sarah, the other thing, I thought your first story was called Creeping, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I wrote, it's the first thing that occurred to me today, the words creeping back. So what could be creeping back for different characters or in different kind of
okay.
What I was thinking of actually was a particular couple who shed lots of stuff from one home, then they've moved into another home, and lots of stuff is creeping back into the house. So that's how it related to your story. But then I was thinking about, plants and habits and things like that just back they come. You think
So we probably want for further sessions like this, a few situations can come up within the same maybe vague theme, because here I was able to say it needs to be possible that it's happening at the Solstice event, as kind of a restriction on what people could suggest. Next time it's not the Solstice, so what would be good, I think, is to come up with kind of an overarching theme or location, and then all the other things happen at that thing, so that it's not possible to end up with stuff that's like way too far flung, and then it's hard to tally up the perspectives because someone's actually nowhere near where the other characters are or whatever.
Especially if you throw in Albie with his philosophy, because that can come at a totally different angle, a philosopher, from what the mainstream thought process is. Because that's one of the things I love in lectures on philosophy is the whole disparate way you could actually view something. So Albie would be a great character for that.
Philosophical perspectives, as compared with day-to-day perspectives.
Actually,
mainstream perspective.
Just a suggestion that there are two national holidays in July. There's one, of course, for the US, is it?
Yeah.
There's July 4th. And in France, of course, it's July the 14th, which is a very auspicious
Yes.
day. So maybe you could hang it around
Like national days?
a national day or something.
Or a national day, or like maybe one of those things where your school or your work or whatever does we're doing like an international day and we're gonna have things about different national days or something. So that there could be a whole series of things.
My idea was to have them all go on a journey.
Yes, that could be interesting.
So they've got
I've had to do those things in the past. They've been really hard because I'm not very geographically knowledgeable.
Just ride in a taxi,
Yep.
catch a train, go to customs.
All right, so you want to see them in different like modes of transport and sort of dealing.
Just doing that trip and how each would cope with that.
Yes.
But
perhaps like all of the sort of conversations or thinking that's going on in each character's head is all happening during a journey somewhere. Yeah. Yep. And I gather Albie's a request to be a perspective again.
That was
in order to bring in potential that
just because he's a philosopher, just because of that totally abstract way that philosophy can look at things.
That suits me. I can wear my onesie again.
Mark's looking for an excuse to go and buy himself a onesie. I can just feel it.
So probably Albie. Is there anyone else who we'd like a non-human perspective? Maybe is that sort of?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Gotta have Grease.
Why can't we have Grease? Grease is a great character.
Not Grease because he's not contemporary with Albie. If you want them to, as P's saying, to match, like
what about
seeing something from Albie's point of view, and then we also see an animal's point of view, we could have Broderick. And the other one that is always a possibility is to have the robot.
I think we should have the robot. We haven't had a robot for a long time. Let's get a robot.
And we can do like a vote for them again. I can come up with a bit of a list of what could be contemporary characters and get everyone to sort of pick which ones. But yeah, Broderick the cat can be a point of view with Albie. In fact, he was notably not mentioned in any of today's, but he would have been there because Fraser was there. And he does not go anywhere without Broderick.
Should go anywhere without his cat.
No, definitely not.
No. Oh, so Broderick at the beach would have been a very interesting perspective. Yeah. Yes, that.
Exactly.
Walking backwards, P.
He would have been on someone's back or shoulder.
Yeah. It might be worth kind of spacing out the unusual point of view people. And kind of
good point. Because yes, if we've got the philosopher, the cat, and the robot,
I don't need much.
They're all pretty.
What is the actual real event that happened?
What really happened? Nobody knows. Which could be kind of
fun.
Could be fun. But yes, we must someone who's going to see it a bit more standard.
Yeah, mainstream. Yeah, you need a mainstream character.
Somebody mainstream.
Or a totally droll one. Something.
A few possibilities, but so if we have Albie, then obviously there are lots of people who Albie has associated with in the past who could come up. Alice would be a good sort of fairly straightforward point of view. The only sort of characteristic of Alice that we've come up against a lot is kind of that worry about not being perceived as grown up or capable. So
that could work, because I was going to suggest a child because that worked really well in that last story.
You liked having Dina's point of view.
Yeah, definitely. What a child that's contemporary with the ones you've chosen, of course.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah, Dina would be, Anae is not, Anae would be the same sort of age.
Right.
I love Anae.
As Albie, and that I'd have to have a look. There was, yeah, unless we have a young Albie, which is fun, but it takes away, he's already got that very philosophical sort of tendency, but he's not yet a philosopher by profession.
Well, that might be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
If we have a young Albie, then yeah, that would change things a bit. I don't know whether we could have Broderick.
No, he wouldn't be alive. That's the rule that.
I don't think the cat would be.
Unless Broderick's a kitten.
Kitten Broderick.
And
We've never seen Kitten Broderick before.
Perhaps the will hasn't been made yet.
Oh, it won't be made yet if it's a kitten.
Oh, yeah. So the bad Uncle Charlie or whatever they referred to is still around, and Broderick is not yet the heir to this fortune. He's just a little kitten in the house.
Have a pre-recording of this one.
You're saying I should record it? Yeah, that's an option. I could make a recording.
Have a look,
I can just put it up if necessary.
Yes, so
that is the other thing to bring up. Obviously, the second Saturday of July is Mum's birthday, the 13th, which is the day before Robin's due date. So it's fairly unlikely that the story will occur on July the 13th.
Yes.
It might. This child wants to be sideways, and if he's going to be born by C-section, then that will happen a little bit earlier, usually, because they don't want him to start to try and make his way out when he's the wrong way. I might be home with him by the 13th. We don't know. So the options are, yes, make a pre-recording, and it can go up at some point during that period whenever I can upload it, or I can do like a live stream of it or something like that. I could premiere it.
Barry reckons
at a set time. Yeah. So we could do something like that, like a contingency. So basically the options are play it by ear and set a date when I know what I'm capable of, and just say, okay, we'll do it late July, or we'll do it I know I'm going to be home until this date, we'll do it on this date before everything happens. Or potentially have a recording available that could be premiered and say that will be happening on the 20th if we're not able to come up with a date that I could do it live. I always prefer to do it live if I can, but it might mean we have to be a bit spontaneous in choosing the date for that. I can't really say to you it's going to be on the following date next month. At this point, we just I'll have to send some messages to the chat groups and say,
we're hoping for a July story time rather than a second Saturday of July.
There will be a July story time. It may not be on the second Saturday of July.
That sounds reasonable.
So yeah, but I think we will put up a vote again because everyone's not here. I'd like everyone to have the chance to say who they'd like to see and if they've got any further suggestions. I can put down sort of what's been said so far in that form or in a message. So there's not much set in stone for next time. Basically, there'll be something in July. It'll be a similar format to today. And I think Broderick Cat will be in some form, maybe a kitten. Because we would, or maybe Wombot, the robot, we'll see. A non-human perspective. So I'll see you at some point in July for a similar thing. Hope this was a bit of fun. And yeah, have some fun with solstice things, either now or on the solstice.
Yeah.
Because that's good. I have got a cake which I have not brought in, but I will put some pictures of it. It's a rose chocolate cake.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
But enjoy the rest of your solstice evening. If you've got nice things to eat, enjoy those. And I'm going to go and have some of my cake and get a little bit of video of my lotuses and things for pop into the recording. Do send me
pictures
you have of your own candles and nice bits and pieces.
Okay. Lots of love to everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Lovely to see everyone. Bye-bye.